All right. With all that housekeeping out of the way, let's get to what we have today. Now, I know SQL kind of left you out there with uh, one class that I missed with you. So I want to give you a little bit of a basic of what's going on here and spare you the details from all those other PowerPoint slides that you may or may not have watched. So who can tell me what does SQL stands for?
It's a structured query language.
Make sure you do not even hesitate to answer this question when in the interview they ask you what is SQL, because then you're in deep trouble. So these acronyms, you must know what they stand for. So memorize it, keep it in the tip of your tongue. And in structured query language, it's called structured because it has a set of keywords, contains a set of keywords, and follows a set sequence. So you have to use these keywords in a set sequence, and only then this is going to work for you. Now, what does it do? Well, you got this. Why do we need it? You have this laptop you are sitting in front of, and you are, let's say, on Amazon trying to buy something. And here's this Amazon server, big computer, where all the stuff is. And in Amazon, in that server somewhere, it has a big memory disk with all data stored. And these are like a bunch of disks spinning. And this is HDD memory, by the way, hard disk drive. These are kind of a slow type of ones, cheaper. The SSD is expensive. Anyway, so you try to buy something and you send out a request that go ahead and process this purchase for me. You basically hit like buy now or button, for example. This information goes as JSON to the server, and the server takes it and looks at the request and it says, oh, you need to buy it. Okay, for you to buy this, we need your credit card information, but we have you in the credit card table somewhere in the database, which is right here. So let me get your credit card information. It's going to, the code from here is going to do a SQL query. Okay, it's going to do a SQL query. And it's going to ask for the credit card information from a table of millions of credit card information. It's going to ask for your specific one, and it's going to get that credit card information back, and the code in here will process the transaction and then send you a confirmation back again as a JSON to display nicely on your computer. Okay, so that's how the industry works. Now, you as a tester, you're going to use SQL as well. How? Here's the situation. Imagine you got this website, Priceline, and you make a reservation for a hotel, and you got this hotel picture, and then you got this price. come up. Hotel picture, hotel name, and price come up. So you got a list of hotels and their prices came up. You, as a tester, your job might be one day, or a test scenario might be that you need to match this list of hotel and their price with what comes out of the database. All right. That means you have to do a SQL query. So imagine your company has a database in their server, and developer wrote a code to get this uh, information from this database and display it beautifully to your customers. And the developer told you that, hey, here's the SQL query that I'm using, and here's the list of table that comes up from this, um, you know, query. And this list needs to display right here to the customer. So what you do is you have access. You're going to have access as a automation engineer. You're going to have access to this company database. And you're going to do the SQL query yourself and get this list. And you look at this list and you would manually first go in here and see, does this first hotel name match with this first hotel name? And does this price match with this price? You're going to check that manually. And once you check it manually, now you know what you need to write that given, you know, um, given when then, the Gherkin way or any other test case method way, you write up your test case. Once you wrote up your test case, now if you have the tools, you go ahead and test automate that so that your your code, your Java code, will test it automatically for you and give you a report. Okay. So, but at the very least, even if you, let's say, did not automate the test case by doing this SQL query, you should be able to call the data from the database and look at the UI and see if they match, and you call it pass or fail at that point. Okay. So this is what the uh, real world situation is that you might end up facing as a QA. Any question about this? Any clarification needed on this idea? Now notice that you are only pulling data just to see it. You are not going in there and changing data at all. You are not adding data. You are not deleting data. So you're only wanting to pull the data to see it, which is nothing but the select query. So you are only worried about that select query. Um, hmm, as QA, QAs only uh, deal with select query. And select query is the one that just gives you the information, which was the very first class. Today's class, I'm going to take you deeper. So, objective for today, you're going to learn how to insert data, which you don't have to do as a QA. You're going to learn how to update and delete. Now, I'm teaching you this because in the interview, they might ask you to set up a query and show off your knowledge of this database. If you can answer some of those uh, questions in this insert, update, delete, you've just proved yourself that you are very good at database. Not just good, very good. And tomorrow's class, I will take you a little bit farther to some really complex queries with join and union, which also is really not required for a QA, but if you know it, it's really good. So that's why I wrap it up, or in case if there's any question come up during the interview, you should be able to answer them as well. Um, all right. So having said that, uh, we just want to throw off this notes in here so that you guys can copy this later down the road. For your select queries, what I didn't get a chance to cover is the syntax is syntax is you write the word select first, and then you provide column names. Okay. Your very next thing is from, and you provide table name. And then if you wanted to add a condition, then you add a where keyword and you write the condition. Now, condition um, can be written in various ways, and we'll see it in a second. And you close that off with a semicolon to finish off. That was the very first class and probably took you guys a little bit farther than this with some queries a little bit deeper. Um, so with this in mind, we're going to proceed with this today's class as well. You'll see how the same idea kind of works into these guys as well. One other thing we talked about is 3 questions that you need to ask yourself first before you set up a select query. And if you can technically answer these 3 questions, your query is going to be very easy. Question number 1, what specific or which columns to display? Always look for, because right after the select word, you have to specify which columns you're going to display. So that's why I put this question here. If you ask yourself which columns, if they want all the columns, you put the star symbol. Star means all columns. Or everything that's there, all records. Number 2 is which table. And number 3 is which specific type of data to display. Okay. All right. So with that, let me paste this in your notes section here. Today, actually, I'm going to give you some practice. So be ready because I'll give you some practice time. If you have a notepad or paper pencil with you, that would be great too. So feel free to grab yourself a piece of paper and pencil. Um, Let me let you do that. It's 9:54. Let's come back at 10 o'clock and we will start really doing these queries on the W3 School, and I'll explain everything to you before the homework. explanation towards the end of the class. It's not going to be very difficult class at all. You will see how systematic this information is. So I'll see you at 10 o'clock. Notes are pasted in the chat box, so you're welcome to copy that. All right, let me know if you're back. Is everyone back? Go ahead and type in back in the chat box so I know that you're back. All right, sounds good. So before I go into the insert, update, and delete, let's take a look at just a quick review on the select statement that we have uh, done for the first class. How are we going to do this? Okay, so you have this fake database that's with W3 School, and you have a bunch of tables right here that you can use. It already has data in there. You're welcome to mess around with these tables and then reset it. It doesn't hurt at all. If I click on customers, it shows me this customers table down here, all this data, 91 records total. And let's set up a query, a select query to search something. Okay. Suppose I want to find out um, all the cities. I just want the city column of this table, and I don't want to see anything. I just want to see which cities these people are coming from. So, three things I need to ask myself. One is which column. So, number one question is which column. You write the word select, and because the column I want is city, you just type in the word city. But I recommend that you double click on this and Control C, copy it, and you put it in here. If you type it in and you did not capitalize this C, it's going to throw you an error because these column names are case sensitive. What case sensitive means is that if it has an uppercase, like this A is an uppercase for this address, that means you have to write it like that. Now, if whoever created this table did not put an uppercase, then you have to also not put an uppercase. So these column names are very sensitive to uppercase or lowercase. Therefore, it's best don't type it in, just double click. You bring your cursor over the column name, double click it, it will select it for you. You press Control C to copy, and you take your cursor where you want to paste it and press Control V to paste it. Make yourself easy. This copy paste, you're going to see we're going to do a lot of that in Java as well. Promise you, Control C is going to be your best friend. So use that. Now select, we got the column down here. Immediately after that comes from. And this from, this customers table also is case sensitive. That means that you have to use that case customers capital C. Oh, by the way, these ads can get in the way. And I don't know, you may have to refresh to see your page again. It's a little bit of a pain in the neck, but there's nothing we can do on this. I mean, this is still a wonderful platform for practice. So I'll type in customers, and I can just finish it right there if I want to with the semicolon and hit the query. I got all the cities right here. Still 91 records, all the city names. Now, what if I didn't want to see it in this random order, but I wanted to see them in alphabetical order? In that case, you can order this with a keyword called order by space by, and you have to specify which column. In this case, we're going to order the city column by ascending, let's say from A to Z. So you have to write the column name. Again, you copy the column name, double click, copy, put it here, and then you write how you want it. If you want it ascending, meaning from A to Z, write the word ASC. Hit the run, and you have still that 91 records, and you got all of these cities. Okay. Notice something, this Buenos Aires, there's like 3 of them. So there are some duplicates. That means there's a few customers. There's a few customers there from London. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 people are from London. What if you did not want to see these duplicates? Like you wanted to match a list on a website you want to test. You don't want duplicate. You just want to, if there's London, give me just one London. If there's Buenos Aires, give me just one Buenos Aires. Well, you can do that. All you have to do is right here, right after the select, you write the word distinct. Distinct means unique, meaning don't repeat it. Just give me the unique ones. So DISTINCT, distinct. If you do that, watch this. Once I hit run SQL, these 91 records is going to go down. Going down means it tells me that it took off these duplicates from here. Instead of displaying 3 Buenos Aires, it's going to show me 1 Buenos Aires. So hit the run, went down to 69. And if I look at this list now, Buenos Aires only displayed once. And if I go to London, excuse me, also only displayed once. Okay. Any question about this particular query? I'll paste it here in the chat box for you. Okay. There was a question about how do I use select in statement? So here's customers. What if I wanted only the customers that are in Mexico, let's say North America? So Mexico is in North America. Is there a USA? There's a USA that's in North America. and Canada. Seems like I'm not 100% out of the zone yet. Okay, so if I wanted those three customers, three countries, all customers from those three countries, then the way to do that, there's two ways you can do it. And I'll show you both. So I could say select, and this time I want all information, like give me all columns. So I could say select star and then say from customers table, where I could say the country. Here's country. You copy that, paste it here, and put an equal sign. Inside the single quote, I could say, give me Mexico. I can finish it right here and see how it looks. Look, all Mexico, 5 customers. And then we said that we wanted all North America. So you can put an and statement and copy this whole thing, this condition, paste it here. Instead of Mexico, write Canada. And then now run query. Did I spell something wrong? Oh, sorry. You have to use the
No,
or.
it should be or.
It should be or. Thank you, Chisti. Yeah, there you go. Hmm. Yeah. So now I got either the customer from Mexico or Canada. Cannot be and because no such customer exists that live in 2 different places at the same time. So the or works. So I got all of those Mexico and Canada, but I wanted USA as well. So do you take this another one, copy it again, put another or statement, paste it, change this to USA, run it, and you got USA as well as Canada, USA, kind of mixed up. What if at this point I wanted these countries to be in order? Who can tell me what do I need to write? I don't want Mexico, Canada, Mexico, USA. I want them in the order. How do I do that to this query?
Order by.
Order by. Very good. So I go here, right before the semicolon, I put my cursor. I hit an enter. I bring it down here. And now I use the keyword order by. What do I need to write now?
Country.
Correct. You have to specify which column you want to order it by. This country, you take that, copy that, bring it here, paste it, and then you write how you want to order it. We'll say ascending. Let's do descending this time. USA will come back first. DESC in short for descending. Now, on this SQL editor, if you spell it wrong, it's gonna stay like this, black. If you spell it correctly, or you wrote the keyword correctly, like if I put the C, it turns blue. So blue tells you that you're writing it correctly, and black tells you that your keyword is not written correctly. Only works for keyword. It doesn't work for column names. Column names and values are always going to be in black. By the way, values are going to be in red. So make sure that you put quotations around them to make them red. Now, if I do that query and notice that USA, all of these came up here. All right. And then Mexico and Canada went down here. You got about 21 records, 21 customers in there. Now, instead of writing this country equals Mexico, country equals Canada, country equals USA, yeah, it can be done, but it's tedious. It's a lot. If you wanted to get a simpler way, then one thing you can use is called the in keyword. In that case, what you have to do is instead of this equal sign, you write the word in. And now you open a parenthesis and close a parenthesis and put all the names of the country you want inside this parenthesis. Okay. It's a shortcut. So I can take this Mexico I wanted, copy that, put it here. And if you want more, you put a comma and take this Canada, copy that, put it here. And then another comma and USA, put it here. And now you don't need all this extra junk. You can delete all that. And then run your SQL query. Nothing changed. You still got 21 records and everything is still the same. So both of those queries give you exactly the same thing. Any questions so far? Okay. One other thing to wrap up is if you wanted to only see 5 records, let's say you don't want to see like 21 million records. You just want to see 5 records. You can do that by just typing in at the very end, limit how many you want to see. You could say limit 5 and then hit run SQL and only going to display 5 records for you. This comes in handy because there could be actually millions of records, and for millions of records to show up, that might be way too much. Sometimes you just want to see a handful of records. All right. So that was kind of a wrap up thing that you did on that very first class. And today we're going to take that a little bit farther and show you how to insert data, how to update existing data, and how to delete data. So let's jump right into it. So the first thing you want to do for your insert is I have this PowerPoint slide, so go side by side. I'll go side by side as well with you to explain what this is. It starts with the syntax. You will notice the keyword is there, and then in black are the information that you have to type in. These are variables. Variables means they can change. So these things are going to change. But the blue keywords are never going to change, and they have to be in the exact order. So for you to insert data, your keyword is going to be first insert into, excuse me, 1 second. So insert into, and you have to specify which table you want to insert into, and the column names. And after the keyword values, you have to add values inside the parentheses like that. So kind of the same structure. The other way to do that is if you don't want to specify the column names up here, you can just say which table and then add the values after the keyword values. The difference is there may be a lot of columns. I've seen in my company there are tables that has like 97 columns, right? And you probably did not want to add data into 97 columns. You just wanted a specific set of columns. You wanted to add data, maybe 3 columns. Then you just say 3 columns you wanted to add data into, and then add the value there. The difference is here on this one, if you don't specify which columns, you are now bound to add all 97 data in here. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It's not going to know which column you wanted to add the data into. It will clear up shortly. Just take a look at it. So this first one is for specific column. The second syntax is for all columns. And we're going to do an example to see how it looks like. So let's take a look at this one. This one says insert the following into customer table. And you got this customer name. We know it's going to be in customer table. So we know the table name. We got the customer name value, which is cardinal, city name, Stavanger, and the country, Norway. So that's what we're going to insert into this particular table that we saw. And let's go ahead and do this. Let's write it up. Let me bring this up a little bit further up here. I'm going to delete all this. I want you to look at what we have in customers table first. Gonna get a baseline. You know that we have 91 customers. We're about to add one extra customer in this table, and we want to go and see if it added as well. So we'll do that shortly. Is this font okay, guys? Can you see this me writing here, or do I need to zoom in more?
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay. Sounds good. So my first keyword is insert into. So in insert into, now I have to specify which table do I want to insert this into. And the table is customers. Okay. Now, because the question is asking me to only insert 3 data, 3 column, 1, 2, and 3, but I got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns here. That means I have to specify which columns in my query that I want to add data into. So I'm going to have to go in here and write up the names of the columns in this parentheses. So in here, I'm going to say I want data to go into customer name. So I copy that, put it here, put a comma. I want data to go into city. So I copy city, I put it here, put another comma. Also want to insert data into country and paste it right there. You guys with me
Yes,
so far
a
on this?
question like yes,
Mhm.
I have a question like, do I really need to give the spaces?
No,
Okay,
not
and also
necessary.
Okay, after the customers, do I need to give the space or before the first bracket?
Mhm. This is also optional. Space is also
Okay,
optional. Yeah,
thank you.
you're welcome. By the way, Stanley, you brought up a good point here that these editors, um, the website that I'm using is called an editor. When you're going to be using a software, in a few days, I'll install it for you and you'll see it. Um, these softwares are smart and they see that you did not have a space here and they're totally okay with that. And as a matter of fact, there is a special key that you can press and it will automatically add the space for you, which I will show you later in Java and Selenium as well. So those spaces are not going to kill you. But does it look nice? Of course, it does look nice. And there's a way that it will set up those spaces for you. So you don't even really have to worry about that. However, if you did not have this parenthesis, it's going to give you an error. If you did not have this comma, it's going to give you an error because the computer needs a way to set boundary for him to think about it. If you did not set a comma, computer doesn't know that you wanted two separate columns. And computer might think that you wanted a column and column's name is customer name space city. It's going to go look for that column and not find it, and it's going to throw you an error. That's basically how computer kind of processes things. Now, after insert into, over here, you write the keyword values. And in your values, you have to put this parenthesis again. Inside is where you write up what you want to add into that. Okay. So first thing we wanted for customer name is cardinal. I'm going to go in here and write the word in single quote again, cardinal. Okay, I'm going to put a comma. Immediately next data that I need to give is the city. The sequence matters, and the city is Stavanger. Okay. And the last one is country, and that's Norway. If I did not follow this sequence, data is going to get posted in a wrong column. Meaning, I over here specified SQL to look for this customer name column first. That means in this parenthesis, whatever comes first, SQL takes this data and then inserts in that column called customer name. The second data, SQL is going to take it and insert it into the second column I specify. And then the third data is going to go into the third column I specify. Now, if I mix these up, SQL is going to mix those up. With me so far? No. Let's run this query. If I run it and everything goes okay, that means no error, I will get a statement like this that says rows affected 1. That means one row got added to it. So if at this point I go into this customers table, so let me just copy this, paste it here for you guys, and I go back to my other query, which was select star from customers. and run it, look at that 91 records now ended up with 92 records. And if I scroll all the way down, that 92 record right there is the one that I just added. That name Cardinal, I added city Stavanger, and country Norway. I did not add data for these columns, the address column. These data wasn't mandatory, therefore it did not complain. And it in the absence of data, it wrote a word called null. And null stands for means nothing. And it's not the same as zero. Zero means something, and null just means there is absolutely nothing in it. It's empty, in other words. So another word is empty. Any question on this query? Okay. What if I wanted to add all the data? So I have this question here. I wanted to add not just one, but all column data in here. Well, you can do that. In that case, you don't have to specify the column names. So all you write is insert into, give it the name of the table, which is customers. Then you say values, open close parenthesis, and semicolon to close. Hit the back button, go inside the parenthesis. Now you have to provide all these values right here. Okay? So starting with your customer name, contact name. Notice I don't have to provide this value called customer ID. The only reason I don't have to provide customer ID is because this is an auto-generated number. It's right now specifically auto-generated for these customers, and they're unique. Meaning Antonio has number 3, which nobody else is going to have. I just added that new customer that auto-generated got that 92. Right now, if I'm going to add another customer, it's going to have this auto-generated number 93. So I have no control over that column. It is a mandatory column, it's a unique column, and it's automatically generated. So I don't even have to put in. If I try to put in a number myself, that's going to give me an error. So not even going to do that. Where I'm going to start adding data is from customer name. Because I'm about to add all of these data, including the country, I don't have to now specify which columns in here. I can skip this step. I don't need this brackets here. I can go straight to here and put my data. But your data has to be in the order the table's columns are set up, meaning you have to put customer name first, then contact name, then address. You can't do postal code right after that. You have to put city, and then postal code, then country. So here's this data, Michael Jackson. So I'm going to type in here, Michael Jackson. Put a comma, single quote, go inside the single quote, and Um, there was that customer name, contact name, same thing, Michael Jackson. We can just say Mike. Address, we'll say 123 Road, making this up. Our next column is city, Hollywood. The next column is postal code and then country. So postal code, just make up 75089. Country, USA. Okay. Hit the run SQL. If I did it right, then it's going to tell me um, one record affected. If I did something wrong, it's going to tell me that there's something wrong. So let's see. Could not prepare statement. One table, customers had 7 columns, but 6 values were supplied. So let's see what went wrong here. It said 7 columns. Let me just copy this here. Maybe it is asking me to, forcing me to add that there. Select star from customers. So did I miss any columns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's asking me to add this customer ID, but it's not supposed to. That's one of the pain of this editor. It's not perfect. So I will add that and see if that works. So let me just copy this. Because it's auto-generated, it's not supposed to require you to do it. But I'll go ahead and add that. And to be on the safe side, I want to say 93 because 92 is already taken. And that should give me a good logical stuff. If I hit run SQL now it's telling me one row affected. It's happy now. And if I go back to my other query to see if this data was added, copy this here. Select star from customers. Scroll all the way down. I got this 93. Now it's happy. Michael Jackson and all that data that I added. I just want to experiment with this. What if I put 92? What if I add another data? So I'm going to copy this query here. So I really don't know how they set up this customer ID. So technically it's not supposed to work like this, but maybe they didn't set it up correctly. So if I do a 92, it should complain, is my understanding, because it's a unique ID. I already got a 92. Or my other thing is it could happen that this 92 get replaced. Instead of cardinal, it could replace this whole data into that new data of Michael Jackson. So let's do it and let's see what happens. Run SQL. It's complaining. And let's take a look at this error report. Guys, it's very important that you read these errors and you kind of educate yourself. You're going to see this error reporting and trying to analyze these errors come up a lot in Java and Selenium, and I will drill down with you more on how to uh, decode these errors to fix your problems in your coding. It's very important skill. So I want you to get your hands dirty with these errors right now in SQL. Don't panic. Don't think that, oh, I am probably not doing correctly or I'm not worth it because every time I write a query, I get this error. No, don't think it like that. Even the best developers, they have errors in their code, and Java tells them what the error is, and then they fix the error, and then their program works. Nobody is that smart where they write their code right on the first time, and then there is no error and it works perfectly. In fact, you're going to see me when I'm going to teach you Java, you're going to see me. I'm going to be making mistakes and I'm going to be correcting my mistake based on these error reports that I'm going to get along the way. So it's not just a thing. Don't expect yourself. Don't put yourself on this high expectation that, oh, if I don't write it and it comes out perfect, then I'm not worth it. No, then you're failing yourself. You're setting yourself up for failure because there is no such person out there who is that good that they're not going to make any typing errors or something. So just be aware of that and and be easy on yourself. Now let's take a look at this. Could not execute statement due to a constraint failure. 19 unique constraint failed, customer ID. These error reports are not going to be very user friendly. It's not going to spell it out to you exactly what your mistake is, but it's going to give you some hints. So we can already see a hint right here that says unique. We talked about unique. We know that 92 has already been taken by somebody. That means we cannot use this 92, but we can use anything other than 92 that has not been taken. So can I use 94? What about 95? What about 100? Let's change this to 100 and see if it's going to let me add a gap, or does it need 94 from me? If I do a 100 and run the query, it's okay. It allows me to do that. So that's how they set up the column, that you can actually set it up. It's going to be unique, but you can set it up any number you want to. That means I could probably in here put in like a weird number, 45879 something, and then put another name right here, like say Stein, and purification, and then hit run SQL. It's going to be fine as well. It's telling me rows affected is 1. Let's go see what we did so far. So select all from customers. And if we scroll all the way down, yep, we got all of them. We got the 93 we had, the 92 we added, the 100, and even that weird number that we had got added in this table. That's all I got for your insert into idea. And that's all you need to know about how to insert data. Any questions that I can clarify? Anything that you um, was confused about here?
I have one question.
Mhm.
If I want to put an data at number 11, for example, and I want the remaining data to go down, I want to insert it at number 11.
Mhm.
What should I do then?
It's not possible. it won't allow you to add it in here because this is always going to be in order. And these numbers are unique. But what you can do is, let's say if you wanted to replace this data in number 11, then you can replace this data that it will allow you, which is the update, which is going to be my next couple of slides, where you can update this data. Instead of B's beverages, you could just put in somebody's name here and say, oh, I want this data later. So what you can do is you can update this data with something else and then use this same one, and you copy this data and insert again, maybe for way down here. So that will be another kind of a workaround way of doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, but you cannot say, hey, I want number 11 here. I want a data to go right here. And then I want you to shift everybody down here. So that means this number, you put in a data here for number 11. This will become 12. This will become 13 and 14. Oh, that's going to mess up big. I don't think any company would want to do that with these unique numbers, because these unique numbers for these particular customers are already connected to another orders table, like a credit card table. And if this sequence gets messed up, then uh, my credit card, if I want to buy something, it might charge just this credit card. So it's that tricky information. And companies never make drastic changes to their tables at all. They design their table very well first, so that there's no question asked later, that they don't make any changes of the structure of the table later. Because once the business starts rolling, you want to go in and change the structure of the table, forget it, because you're going to mess up big. So that's why the architects sit down and design that. How do I want to store our data? Which unique ID do we need to put in? And so forth. Good question. Any other questions? All right. How about you do a practice? So take a look at this one here. Let's take a few minutes. If you want to get your paper pencil out, or if you want to type this into your notepad, it's up to you. Go ahead and give me the SQL query to insert this data into that particular table. And we'll compare our answers shortly. As a matter of fact, you can go ahead and type in your answer into the chat box. And let others look at yours too, so they can kind of compare to see, okay, if I'm on the right track or not. I'm not really worried about spelling at this point. I just want to see whether your sequence of choosing the keywords is correct or not. If your logic on that statement is correct or not. So go ahead. We'll do a maximum 5 minutes. I don't think it's going to take 5 minutes, but I'm thinking maybe a minute. Sangeeta, I don't hear you. Yeah, I can't hear you, Sangeeta. Um, you have to select a mic on that settings icon on the top right corner of your meeting window somewhere. You may have a headphone on and your headphone is not selected in that meeting window. You have to go in and select it. And that's probably why. But sounds like you are able to hear me, so at least that's good. You can type up your questions in the chat. I can see that in the chat box, so that's not a problem either. Yep, so let's take a few more minutes. Everybody type in your answer in the chat box and we'll do a comparison analysis. Honestly, you don't really have to see the table. Imagine this is an interview question. How would you write up this query? Okay. Yeah, if you made a mistake, you want to resubmit, just go ahead and submit again, like the type up, retype up again. I'll just look at everybody's and you guys look at each other's on the chat box and then see if there's a difference, if so, and we'll talk about the difference in a minute.
Stein, can you hear me? I have a
He's not
question.
there. He's not there. He's taking a break.
এই ললটা কই যাব হোমওয়ার্কটা করতে ওই এখন যেটা দিছে
তুমি নোটপ্যাডে লিখে ওই যে টেক্সটে পাঠিয়ে দাও like I did it. Can you see it?
না এখন যেটা বললো W3 তে
হ্যাঁ
ওইখানে কই যাব
ওইটাই তুমি চ্যাটে দিয়ে দিবা লিখে।
W3 তে গেলে কোনটাতে যাব সেটা বলতেছি।
তুমি নোটপ্যাড, you can go to the notepad and write it down first, then copy paste into the chat.
Oh,
This is what I did.
নোটপ্যাডে গেলাম, ওকে। নোটপ্যাডে গিয়ে এগুলা হোমওয়ার্ক ডিলিট করে দিতে হবে। ওকে।
W3 ওইটাই তো বুঝতেছি না রান কেমনে করব এটা।
আচ্ছা SQL, SQL টা রান করব কিভাবে?
তোমার সিকুয়ালে গিয়ে রান করতে পারো টেস্ট করে।
তো ওইটা ইয়েতে যাব না, ওই যে
হ্যাঁ, একটা লিংক আছে না তোমাদেরকে লিংক দিছে না সবাইকে হোমওয়ার্ক, গেট দ্যাট।
ওয়েবসাইটে আসে কিসে চাপ দিব লরেটা? ওই যাইতে পারতেছি না ওই জায়গায়।
রান
এই যে
সিকুয়েল প্রেস
ইউ
করলে
হ্যাভ টু
হবে।
গো টু দ্য হোমওয়ার্ক।
এই যে
হোমওয়ার্কে
আসছে,
গিয়ে
এটা না?
তোমাকে
ওকে,
দুইজন একসাথে
হ্যাঁ
দুইজন।
হ্যাঁ একসাথে, হ্যাঁ।
ও আচ্ছা।
আচ্ছা
তো
আসছে, লরেটা পাইছি, থ্যাংক ইউ।
আমি আরেকটা উইন্ডোতে খুলে রাখছি সিকুয়াল, দ্যাটস ওয়াই।
ওকে, পাইছি,
পাইছি
হ্যাঁ।
লরেটা, থ্যাংক ইউ।
থ্যাংক
You're
ইউ।
welcome.
No question? All right. How about another one? Let's take a few minutes for this one. Sangita, is your mic working now? No, I guess not. But I see you muted. Okay. Almost almost time for 3 minutes. How we doing, guys? Maybe 3 minutes is too quick. Okay, probably because this description you have to write a whole lot. Um, yeah, there you go. I see the answers coming in. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, the value need to be 9, not 11. But it's okay. I think, yeah, that's not a problem. As long as I see your syntax is correct and I see that syntax is correct, I see you wrote insert into, you wrote table name and then the value can later, your brackets are good, your parenthesis is good, you closed it with the semicolon at the end, and that tells me that you are in the right track. Okay. All right, guys. Any questions before we move on to the next one? And there's your answer. So if you want to take a look at the answer or in the chat.
Time.
Go ahead.
I couldn't do the first one. I need to turn off. Okay.
You are echoing, so maybe
Yeah, I
let's.
need.
And you have
Okay,
to
she turned off her.
mute.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
she did.
What do you do is,
Okay.
if you're sitting side by side, you can have one speaker on,
Yeah,
the
she
other
was.
one you can turn off, and then
Okay.
you can increase the volume of one of your laptops so that both of you
Mhm.
can listen from it, and you can unmute any one of yours and then speak like whenever both wanted to speak. That's fine too.
Okay.
That way it won't echo. So
Okay.
you had a little bit of a hard time on the first one?
Yes.
Okay. But do you understand the logic? Did you see the answers of your fellow students, and do you have any questions on that?
I did follow all the quotations and everything, but when I run SQL, it's giving me error like one could not prepare a statement. One table employees has no column named employee ID.
No, don't worry about whether it works or not. Right now, this is yeah. If it doesn't run, don't worry about it. This is not a question to see if your query runs. Got it?
Okay.
Yeah, I am just
Okay.
trying to see if you are able to write it at this time. Whether your query
I'm gonna.
works or not, we'll do it later.
I have one more question.
Go ahead.
So in the first one, in the parentheses, you have like employee ID, last name, first name. But second one is not there, so we don't need that to write it down. Employee ID, last name, and first name. Just
Actually, I like the answer. I like the answer better that you write down those because even though I did not write it here, mainly because I had an idea of that table. So let me show you.
Yeah, I don't like secretary.
Just make it because you taught a few minutes ago some other
Correct.
way, and I was confused when I see other submitting their work and they put everything like category
No,
ID. Then I said,
very good question. So clarification.
yeah.
What you guys submitted, which let me just copy from one of you all here. This is the best answer, not the one I have on the PowerPoint. Okay. The one I have on the PowerPoint, I skipped this part. And skipping this part can only be done if you know how the table looks like. If you know that there's only 3 columns in that table and you are adding the 3 values, only then you're allowed to skip it. Because if you skip it without knowing how many columns there are, it's going to throw you an error. It's going to have a problem in it. But take a look at these categories. Here's the categories table. Now that I'm looking at the categories table and I see that there's only 3 columns there, in that case, Parvin, you pasted yours. So let me copy this. And you said that the first one did not work. Let me take a look at your second one. So I want to paste your second one here and then see if that gives me an error. If I run it, it's giving me an error. Let's see what's going on. The excuse me. This is probably for your first query. Yeah. So
I
would not
it
prepare
had a
statement. Table 1 employees has no column name called employee ID. So clearly it's telling me that the column name wasn't written properly. And look at the spelling right here. The column name employee spelling is not accurate, and that's why it's throwing an error. Okay. Here is the let me take Sangeeta's for the second question. And if I run it, it's giving me an error. Table 1 categories has no column name, category name. So this category name right here is not recognizing, probably because the the actual name for that is, let's see, the spelling here and the spelling on that query was not 100% accurate, and that's why you might have an error. But again, I am not checking your error right now. Look at this. Category spelling here, CATA versus CATE, that's going to throw you an error. So when you are in the real world, you should copy this and then paste it here. And that's the only way you can make sure that everything is coming out correctly. But again, I see all of your queries are excellent, and um, you did a good job. So I'm not looking for correctness and whether the query works or not at this point. I'm just looking for to see if your structure is correct and that you got the idea. All right. Let's move on to the next idea of, I'm just going to skip this one here and talk about null values real quickly before we go into update. Already touched base that null value is where there is no data available. And no data does not mean the same thing as zero. Zero means there is something there, so don't get confused with that. Now, sometimes you might, as an administrator of database, you might want to find if there is any kind of um, data you have in your table that does not have anything in it, meaning it's null, meaning somebody forgot to put some data in it. And you need to go in there and find it and add data in it to fix your table. In that case, you can use these keywords called is null or is not null. Is null is going to give you all the values for a specific column that has this null. And is not null is where it's going to display values that are available. It's going to display, it's going to skip the missing fields where there's no data. It's going to skip that to clean things up for you. Let's see how we're going to use this. Take a look at this first query. It says display null values from customers for address column. Now let's go into our table and let's go to customers. Let's take a look at our address column. Here's our address column. I don't see any address column that doesn't have any data. Well, here it is. This one. This column does not have any data. So what if I wanted to find out if there is a customer that does not have any data in the address column? Then here's what we can do. We can go to this query and type in select star, meaning give me all data from customers. And then here I can specify a condition where saying address. Now I'm going to copy this address, put it in here, and say the word is null with semicolon close. And if I run this query, it's going to give me that one bad customer somebody accidentally entered and forgot to put address and contact name in it. Okay, that is the use case for this is null. Now, I can change that to is not null. If I say is not null, I might need to use this is not null when I want a list of customers that don't have this empty address field. Let's say I need all the address fields. So I want these empty address fields to get skipped out and don't give it to me. In that case, I can say address is not null. And if I search, I get 94 records. And it actually took that 92 record out that had that missing data. So if I scroll all the way down, look at this. That null data for 94 or something is now gone. That means the table that now I got displayed, every address field has something in it, and it skipped out that one that didn't have in it. Any question about the null? All right. So our next concept is update. For update is where you modify the data, modify
Stan, can you
record.
Stan, can you put this information in the chat also,
Yes, please. Sure.
please?
Here you go. So update is like you have a data already inside the table, but it's something wrong with that data. You want to change it. You don't want to add a new record, but you want to update that record, change that record, modify that record. That's what it means. Here's the syntax for it. You write the word update, you give it the table name, next thing you set a column saying, okay, I want this column to have this value, and then this column to have this value, and you can leave the rest blank, meaning you could say the rest of the stuff, don't worry about it. Or your choice. You want to change everything? You can. Every single column that you list here, it's going to get updated. So essentially, you can actually change all the data in one single record if you wanted to, or just one field of data you wanted to change. You can. Now, where it's very important is you have to say where. Because if you don't say where, meaning which particular record you want to change, computer is not going to know which one, and it will accidentally change everything. Okay, it's gonna, if you don't specify where, it's gonna think you probably want to change all, and it's gonna change all. And I'll show you how that really can mess up things. So um, let's take a look at an example. Here's the first one. Update contact name to Alfred Smith and city to Frankfurt for customer ID 1 in customers table. So it's telling me this is where I want to change the data. Is where customer ID is 1. Meaning don't change it to everybody. Just change for customer ID 1. There's your table name. And here's the data we need to change. Contact name to Alfred Smith and city to Frankfurt. So let's go and do that right now. We'll go back to our editor. Let's take a look at customers table. Here's customer ID 1, Alfred. His name is Alfred Fukerkist. At least that's how I want to pronounce it. And we want to change that name to Alfred Smith. So it's not going to say Fukerkist. It's going to say Smith. And the city, Berlin, is going to get changed to Frankfurt, Germany. So we're going to change these two. So let's go and do that. We write the word update. And you have to specify which table. What do we want to update? Customers. Customers table. Yeah. You need to specify what. So you say set, meaning change. Here's the column name, customer name. You copied it. You put an equal sign and you put your value in quotation and say, I want that name to get changed with Alfred Smith instead. All right. I want one more thing. Then you put a comma and say, I want the city to change to Frankfurt, Germany, instead of Berlin. Frankfurt, Germany. Now, if I put a semicolon and run this SQL, I'll be in deep trouble because SQL is going to think that you want all of these customer names to get changed with this name. Everybody's and all the city to change to Frankfurt. So be careful. I'm going to come here and say, no, don't do it for all, but do it for where customer ID is equal to 1. Okay? I'm going to leave the single quotation out for this to see if this number scheme work. Normally numbers, you don't have to put quotations. So I'm going to run this right now. And it worked. Here's row affected 1. That means you did it right. And I'm going to paste this to you here so you guys can see in the chat. And I'm going to go back to my customers table. Oops. And take a look at this. There's that first customer that we had with Alfred Fukerkist. Now got changed to Alfred Smith. And the city Berlin got changed to Frankfurt. Any question? Okay, cool. Here's another one. Update last name to Jackson, where first name is Michael for employees table. So we're going to go to employees table. Let's take a look at this employees table. Here's the employees. Here's the last name. And update last name to Jackson, where first name is Michael. So let's look for Michael. Right here. There's that Michael. And you want his last name to get changed with Jackson. So here's how we're going to do it. We are going to start with update. Update and specify which table. The table is called employees table. I double check the spelling employees on my right side. Employees. Is that plural or single? It does matter. It's plural. So I wrote employees. We're good there. Now we go to set. And here I'm going to specify the column name I want to change. So first name is Michael, fine. Last name is what I'm going to change. So I'm going to say I want to change the last name to Jackson. That to Jackson. Okay. Again, If I put semicolon and hit run, it's going to change all the names to Jackson, which, by the way, I should show you. I forgot to show you on the other one, but in a second. But not all of them. I wanted SQL to only change last name to Jackson if and when this first name is Michael. Only in this case. This time I'm not using the unique employee ID. I'm using where the first name is Michael. So I can just go in and put that condition here. And I could just say first name, and I copy that first name field. I put an equal sign and type in Michael. It has to be exact, case sensitive. So I go down to this Michael word, copy that, and go up here, put in the word Michael, and now run SQL. And it tells me one row affected. That means I did it right. Now if I go back into the employees table, and if I scroll down, notice this Michael last name now became Jackson. Any question on that? So what if I did not specify? Let's mess up things right now a little bit. Update.
Just a question, like
Yes,
if
Daniel.
if if we have two Michaels, what's gonna happen? They will change both.
Both of them will get changed. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And if I say employees, and let's say I made a mistake one day, I said set and set last name, and I put equal to Jackson, and I did not say where. I just said last name to Jackson. SQL is going to think that you want all of these last names to get changed to Jackson. If I run a query, look what happened. 10 rows affected. Instead of one row effect, now it affected 10 of them. That means all 10 of them got affected. And if I click on employees to see all these employees, look at these last names. All last names got replaced by Jackson, but updated with Jackson. Any question? So you might have question like, can I update multiple records? And the answer is yes. Take a look at this one right here. Update contact name to Jose for all records where country is Mexico. So let's say, take a look at this customers table. There's a whole bunch of Mexico here. Look at all this Mexico, Mexico, Mexico. If I wanted all of these names to turn to Jose for Mexico, I can do that. All you have to do is write it exactly same way we did. We're going to say update customers table. You're going to say set, and let's take which column we want to set. Let's say customer name right here. Customer name. And put in, paste it. Equal to, we're going to call Jose. Where country is Mexico. If I say country equals in single quote Mexico, and if I run this query now, all Mexico's customer name will get replaced by the name Jose. So here's run SQL. We got 5 row affected because there were only 5 customers from Mexico. I'll paste this here. And if I go back to this customers, look at this. Here's Mexico, Jose. Mexico, Jose. What if I wanted to list all of this only? Yep, I can do that. Select star from customers. And I could say where, country equals Mexico. Run, 5 records, all names got turned into Jose. With me so far?
Yes, so but can we add two logic in the where and the two condition? We can, right?
Actually, you can. Let me create a situation here. Let's see. You got Germany. How about we change Germany and France? All right. We add 2 conditions. Whoever is in Germany and whoever is from France, we name these people Jean Pierre. All right. I'm just making things up. So let's say update customers. We're gonna set first name or set customer name to Jean Pierre. All right. Where are we gonna set this name? Yeah, we can put 2 conditions. We could say country but remember that inward, I don't have to say equal to Germany and France separately. If I have multiple, I could just say in open close parenthesis, semicolon to close it. Inside, I could have those list of countries. And I could say France and Germany. Germany. If I run it, 22 rows affected. And let me post this to you. And if I just wanted to see those countries, I could say select star from customers, where country equal country in, and just copy this thing, and run it. It's going to give me an error because I got this junk right here as well. I got to delete that and run. And look at all this 22 Germany and France. Everybody's name now got replaced by Jean-Pierre. Any question?
Hello? Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say now most all the customer has the John Pierre name, right? But I want to change only one specific row. Can I make like say John Pierre and customer ID 6 and change the address or maybe the city?
Yeah. You can't change
I
the
mean,
customer ID to 6, or you cannot change the customer ID because it's
no, no,
a
no. No, I don't want to change it, but I want to select only one row and
Mhm.
change the city because customer name is multiple right now. The customer ID is unique.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
oh,
So let's say you are trying to change this Mannheim for customer ID 6. Is that your question, that you wanted to change this address maybe?
in anything, I mean, city, no problem. But as it has like multiple, same name in the customer name, but I don't want to change all of them. I want to change only one.
Yeah, correct, Stanley. So in that case, you wouldn't say, I want this address to get changed where customer name is Jean-Pierre. Because if you say, I want, update customers, set address for this address to whatever address you want, and then you put the condition where customer name is Jean-Pierre, then it's going to replace all of these Jean-Pierre addresses to the new address that you are going to specify. But if you only wanted this particular one, then you have to find something unique into this particular one and then say, uh, and make your condition for that. For example, the unique piece of this particular record is this customer ID. So that will be the best way to do it. Now, if you wanted to do it with postal code, yeah, you can do that too. That wherever the postal code is 68306, I want you to change the address. But if somebody else also had the 68306, address will also get changed for that particular person. So this wouldn't be a smart choice to make your condition for. Therefore, let's go ahead and make a condition for this 6 right here. I'm going to just hold on to this query for a little bit in your messaging. And I'm going to go in here and say update customers set address equals 1234 street. And I want to say where customer ID is equal to 1. Close it. Sorry, customer ID is 6. Run it. 1 row affected. Makes it work. Let me go see if it did. So I'm going to, let me paste this here first so y'all can see. Go back to my previous query. Run. And here's that customer ID 6. There's that address got replaced with 1234 street. Only to that particular. Any other questions before we move to delete? Or how to delete?
I have a question. That is, we can put multiple condition together. That means when we first change the name, at the same time we want to give the instruction, give the condition that only for the specific customer ID, only that row should be changed. We want to change the name.
Correct, Raju. You can actually add multiple conditions. Take a look at this. What if I wanted just a specific hand pick a few people from here? Like we did number 6, and then we want to do number 18, and maybe we want to do the 40. All right, you can do that. And that's the beauty of the SQL, is that once you know this logic, you are welcome to mix it up and create a soup out of it. And as long as your recipe is correct, it's gonna work. Like, take a look at this. What if we took this same query and this time we're like, we're gonna cherry pick it. we're going to say 6, we're going to take number 18, we're going to take number 40, and we're going to change all those addresses. Yes, you can do that. And how you want to do it, it's up to you again. We did this where clause. In this, we have condition. And in this condition, you're welcome to add more. You can say, or customer ID equal to 18. That's going to work. You want another one? Sure. Say customer ID equals 40. That's going to work. What's another way of writing this multiple conditions into a smaller condition? Anybody remembers? What keyword do we
In,
have to use? In.
in.
Correct. In. I don't have to put equal and equal and equal. We already see that they're all using the same customer ID, customer ID, customer ID. Why don't we just get rid of all of this junk and just say in open close parenthesis and put number 6, 18, and 40. That works too. If I run it, 3 rows affected because I wanted to change 3 records that I specified. And if I go back in to check to see what happened, copy this here. 6, 18, and 40. Here's 6. There's the address. Here's 18. There's the address. And 40. There's the address. Okay. Any other questions? If not, moving on to delete. You want to delete an existing record, you can do that. And delete is easier. You don't have to write much. You just say delete from the table name and you put in a condition what you want to delete. Now this is going to delete a record. So if you don't specify where, it's going to delete everything. Your table can become very empty. So the where clause specifies which record should be deleted. And if you leave it out, it's going to delete all your records. Let's take a look at this first question. We want to delete Alfred Fugerkist from customers table. Okay. So let's go back in here. Now understand that I already messed up that table. So what I'm going to do is hit this restore database. If I do that, it's going to restore everything. Notice that because I messed up, this was 91 records and now it's 95. It's already telling me that it's got changed. If I restore it, it's going to go back to 91. I want to refresh. Sometimes refresh does the trick as well. And we went back to 91. Here's my customers table. There's that first record called Alfred Fugerkist. And I want to delete that guy. So I have 91 records. After I delete it, it's going to become 90 records. Here's how you do it. You type in the word delete and you type in the word from and you specify which table. Customers. Next, you have to say where and you put your condition. So I want to delete this whole record where customer name is Alfred Fugerkist. So I'm going to start with this customer name. Copy that, paste it here, equal to in single quote, values go into single quote. You copy the name, put it right here, semicolon, close. Run it. One row affected. That's what we want. And if we go back into our table, there's now only 90 records, and that customer ID number 1 is gone. The table starts with number 2. You can delete more. What if you wanted to delete products table? Let's say here is a products table. You got this product called Chase. The furniture, and your company stopped selling this product. You don't want this anymore. You can get rid of this from your table. You write delete from your name, the table, which is called products, and you put in your where condition. And over here, you write where the product name, bring that, equal, single quote, take this Chase. We don't want this Chase anymore. We don't sell them anymore. And run the SQL. Doing good. Products table. No more Chase. That product ID number 1 is gone. Any question? Pretty straightforward, right? Then let's do a practice. You guys give me this. Delete exotic liquid from suppliers. And here's suppliers. There's 3 things right here. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, right here. So here's this suppliers table. It has this supplier name called exotic liquid. And you want to delete this record right here. So take a minute and post your answer into the chat box. Unmute yourself. If you have any questions, this would be a good time to ask questions while others are practicing as well. You can straightforward type in your answer into the chat box. You don't even have to do it on a notepad or SQL editor. Again, I'm not trying to see whether you spelled it correctly or not, whether your execution works or not. I just want to see if you're able to write it logically. Hmm. Yeah, see, Raju posted. That is correct. I'll wait a minute for everybody else to go ahead and type in your answers. As you're typing, it's registering with you. It will help you remember things. Don't ever take your brain for an answer or that if you feel like, oh, I got this, yeah, I get it, that's not good enough. Don't trust that instinct. Always try to rewrite it yourself and then see if you really got this. So, because if you don't do that, you'll forget. Don't take your brain for granted, saying, "Oh, my brain is telling me, yeah, I got this. It's too easy." No, don't take it for granted. Never do that. Always practice. Put your hands on it, because you'll be shocked. You're like, "Oh, how did I get this?" But now I'm trying to write it, and I can't figure this out. You'll face that situation. All right. So I see 3 people typed in already. All of you guys got it right. Okay. The next section of the class, I'm gonna go in pretty fast. So I think these 3 things were pretty most important ones, and the other ones are also not so much, but the homework is gonna be pretty easy for you to do based on the slides that are there. So it's 11:54. Let's take 5 minutes break. Come back at 12, and we'll finish up the rest of them.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah, Stanley.
Okay, what if I don't want to delete the whole row, just want to delete one value of the specific row?
You just wanna what? Delete a few.
I mean, just one value of the, say, row number, so supply ID 2. I don't want to delete the whole row.
You just wanna delete the value of a couple
Yeah,
of records, right? Yeah. That will
yeah,
be update. So let's say you go here, and your situation was like, let's say you wanna delete this city called Londona from here. And you don't want to put anything in there, which is kind of a rare, because you don't want to have a field that's empty. You want to have fields with values in it. But let's say you still wanted to do that. You wanted to just delete this Londona because somebody made a mistake and you want to delete and clean that up. Yeah, you could say, and we are in suppliers table, and you would in that case have to update, not delete. Because delete only deletes the entire record. You won't be able to just delete that. So only way for you to get rid of this is you have to update this with null value. So you would say update suppliers, and you want to say set city equals, instead of Londona, suppose you don't put anything at all, meaning you put the single quote and you put nothing in it. It might complain. We'll see. Let's see. And then you want to say where, because if you don't, then you're going to change all the cities. And then you say where city is. And here you put in this Londona. And then close that. run the SQL. It didn't complain. It says row affected 1. So what happened is it looked for where the city is Londana, and it set to city with the quotation. Since you put nothing, it put nothing. So if I go back into that suppliers, that city space for Londana is gone, and it has a null value right now. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So
Thank you.
come back and we'll see you at 12 o'clock. Hey, Sangeeta, can you hear me fine? Can you type into the chat box if you can hear me? Wanted to show you how you can fix your mic. Maybe you're busy. Maybe you stepped away from computer. Right, folks, go ahead and type in back if you're back. All right. Just a quick touch base on your mic issues. If you have any, just remember that on your meeting, somewhere you have this uh, gear icon. And when you click on this gear icon, it's going to give you two options here. One is going to say microphone, and the other is going to say speaker. And you can click on this button here. This will give you options of how many microphones you have and how many speakers you have if you click here. Always make sure that the proper microphone and proper speaker is selected, because if not, then you may not hear, or we may not be able to hear you correctly. There's a play button here. You can always click on that, and then there's gonna be a sample sound played for you to test to see if that's working. The only way to test the microphone, however, is just you select it and then ask others to see if they can hear you. So that's every now and then, make sure that that is what it's selected in case you have any kind of technical issues. This usually solves it. The other thing is you may unmute yourself here to talk. Let's say you unmute it, but your microphone, there's a microphone icon on the bottom right corner of your computer. That's your main speaker and microphone control. And if that's muted there, then no one else is going to be able to hear you. So, Sangeeta, I don't know if you're listening. Maybe you're open here and you unmuted yourself here, but way down here, your main control, there is a mic or a speaker icon. And if that's muted, then nobody's going to be hearing you on that. So just double check that. All right. In my interview, they asked me a question. Uh, my supervisor asked me, "What is a wild card?" So I'll go run down to this. I'm going to skip this because it's not that very important. You're welcome to look into this yourself if you want to extend your knowledge. And I'm going to skip to this wild card first and then come back to this a little bit later. So wild card is like in a gaming where you don't know the full name of somebody or full information, but you want to search up information with little bit information that you already know. SQL gives you this option of using wildcard symbols that you can use as long as you know a little bit about the record that you're trying to find. For example, let's say if you wanted to find a record from this customer's or this supplier's table, but you only know that the supplier name is called Tokyo, but you don't know if, what was the other part of the name, the traders, but you know, hey, that supplier name had Tokyo on it, and I just remember that much, but everything else I don't. So how can I find out that particular record of that supplier? Well, you can do that using this idea called wildcard. And here's a uh, setup for how you can do this. There's a lot of symbols in here that you can use. I'll briefly go over a few things. You are welcome to experiment with most of these. I urge you that do experiments. But these are the wildcard symbols, and each of them are used for a specific reason. You can use the percent symbol when you don't know what those rest of the characters are. You can use a underscore if you don't know a specific letter of a specific spot that you don't know. I'll give you examples, show you. And you can use these square brackets to specify a or situation, like, okay, if there's this letter is fine or that letter is fine as well. This uh, kind of a up arrow is used for the word not if you wanted to get a negative answer or a not set of answers, then you use that. And a dash is used for a range of letters that you might want. So let's take a look at this first percent symbol. This is the most popular one. Most people use this. Others are depending on the situation or not. So just uh, be wary of this percent symbol because the interviewer could ask you a trick question and say, what is a percent symbol? What is a percent symbol in SQL? And you would say it's a wildcard symbol. Why? And they may ask you, why would you want to use a wild? Well, would want to use a wildcard if I don't know the exact data that I'm trying to look for, but I know some of it. In that case, you can use that. So let's say I want to find out this record, but I forgot the name of the supplier. I just remember Tokyo. Then here's what you would do to use that percent symbol. You say select star from suppliers. So if there is more than one Tokyo supplier, yeah, give me all of them if needed. So supplier Tokyo is all you remember, and you're gonna say where. You're gonna say supplier name. This time you can't put equal because when you put an equal symbol and a quotation, SQL expects you to write the name or the value exactly the way it's in here. So if you just say Tokyo, it's not going to work. Watch this. Then I only remember Tokyo and run the SQL. It's going to say no results, meaning it didn't find anybody that had only the word Tokyo. That doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. The only thing is that it doesn't know how to find it by just that because it's missing the other pieces. Now, what you could do is you could say instead of this equal sign, you can use a wildcard. Now, wildcard goes with the keyword called like. Kind of like English word. Like I use like. It's the same thing. You use the word like, meaning similar to. Instead of the equal is like exact, the word like means close to. As long as you're close to. Now you said Tokyo, but you forgot what's the rest of the word or letter was. You can put a percent symbol. If you put a percent symbol, you're telling the SQL that I only know the first part right here that says Tokyo, but I don't remember anything after that. But give me anybody that has anything after that but has this Tokyo in it. All right. Now, if you hit the run SQL, you got one record and you got this Tokyo Traders that got displayed for you. Make sense? Let's take a look at another situation. Here's a supplier, and you got a supplier name, this complicated name, Only thing you can remember, unfortunately, is this DE, and you forgot everything. But you want to pull this record for this supplier. Well, you're in luck because the percent symbol will allow you to do that. Here's how you're going to do this. You're going to say select star from suppliers, and you're going to say where the column name is supplier name. Instead of an equal sign, you're going to say like. Here's your value. Close it with a semicolon. Inside the quotation, you are saying, I only remember DE. It has to be same spelling, DE. But you forgot the first part, so you put percent on the front of it or left side of it. And you forgot everything that came after the DE. So you also finish that off with the percent. If you do that, SQL understands that, okay, you don't remember what it starts with, so here's that percent. And you don't remember what it ends with, and that's what the percent is. But you do remember that somewhere in that name of that supplier, there's this DE. So if you run the SQL, it gives you 4 results actually. But here's the thing, this it gave you 4 because even this supplier name, somewhere it has this DE. All right. And then you got this DE right here. Watch this. Obviously, we wanted this one. I'm gonna give you that. And somewhere in here, this has the DE as well. All right. At least it gave you what you wanted, and you're like, oh, okay, now I remember this one is what I wanted. Okay. You can narrow this down farther if you wanted to using this percent, and that would work too. One way to narrow it down, let's say you don't want to see all of these. You're like, okay, I just give me the one that has DE and LAS. Well, if I just remember DE and LAS, I don't remember this first part, so I need a percent here. I don't remember what comes after DE, so I need a percent here to mask it. Then I remember LAS, which I'm going to write. And then I don't remember what comes after that, so I need a percent here. So what I can do here is go up here and say percent DE percent, and then I remember just this last part, LAS. I can write LAS. And then the rest part I don't remember. I can put this percent symbol there and then hit the search. And now only give me one. Any question? Okay. Let's take a look at some of the other use cases for these. Here I have an example. So when you have a homework, go into your homework, open up this slide, look at these examples, and play around with it and figure it out. Take a look at these percents. There's so many other ways that you can use percent, and you can use any combination you want. That works too. Let me just show you one example for each of these, and I think that should help you quite a bit. So let's do the underscore right now. Why would I need underscore? Or how can I use underscore? Here's supplier. Underscore is like to specifically say which character you missed, basically. So let's take a look at this one here. Hang on a second. Let me create a situation. So there's this question here that we can answer. Display all records with the customer name with R in second position. So we're looking for customer name that has R in second positions. Take a look at this customer here. Here's a customer name called Around the Horn. Obviously, it's a horrible customer name. But it has this R on the second letter. So for you to specify this second letter, um, I mean, yeah, you could use the percent, but it's not going to be specific. So take a look at this. If I use from customers where customer name like and say percent, the first part I don't remember, and then say I just remember R, and then I don't remember anything else after that, and put a percent. If I hit the search now, it's gonna give me more than one. As a matter of fact, 69. Why? Because it's not looking for the second letter that's R. It's looking for R anywhere inside. And it's skipping out whatever the first percent is. So the percent could be more than one characters that you don't remember. And obviously it's gonna give me this one as well, because it found that R and you don't remember the first part or the last part. So that's still good. But it's too many records here. I just want the first character. I don't, the second character, letter R. So in that case, what you can do, you can specify, you can take off this percent and say, and put underscore. With an underscore, what you're saying is, I just don't remember one letter, that very first letter. And second letter is supposed to be R, and everything else I don't really care and I don't remember. In that case, if you hit the search button now, you get these other ones. Every one of these now, notice that second character is R. Mhm. Instead of 69 results, now you narrowed it down to only 11 results. Okay. What if you wanted the third letter to be O? You can customize this the same way. So here's your first letter you don't know. You put in another underscore, meaning you also don't know your second letter. And then you replace this R with O. You're saying the third one needs to be O, and the rest I don't remember and doesn't matter. Now if I hit SQL, I got 4 results. Look at these results. First letter, we don't know. Second letter, we don't know. Third one, we said O, and we got it. Same thing. First, we don't know. Second, we don't know. Third one is O. Third one, O. Third one, O. Any question? You can mix it up the way you want to on this. Take a look at this example here. What if I know the first one is BL, first 3 is BLO. I just don't know what letter this one is. And, you know, but I know the next one is DEL or something. I'm just making it up. Yeah, you can do that. You could say BL, BL, and you don't know the next one. So you put an underscore. And you're saying the very next letter has to be this, what did I do? BLO. And the, or this, both of these, O and you forgot. You just remember this DEL. So I got this BL. I got one underscore. I put another underscore that I forgot the next letter as well, but I remember this DEL. So give me all customer name with that. And then I forgot the rest that comes with, so I put a percent. If you hit the SQL query, you got one result. Only one that matched that BON, Blondell, and then you got that. Any question? Okay. The next wildcard is this brackets right here. Imagine this situation. Display all records with city starting with B, S, or P. What if you wanted that option to start with? So take a look at this example. If you wanted a city, so select all from customers, you keep that the same. And this part, you write city, like, and in your quotation is where you're going to put this wildcard magic. And you're saying, I want the city to start with letter B, S, or P. You put the square bracket and you write these letters, no comma needed, B, S, P. And then you finish it off saying, I don't care what it ends with. So you put a percent symbol. And now if you hit the search, it did not find anything. Do I need a comma actually? I don't know why it's not working. Some of these editors are finicky. And it's not giving me anything. How about just B and P? Okay, looks like this editor does not support this. So I'll have to show you an example later down the road when we install the actual machine. So just ignore that for now. Any questions on this wildcard? I don't think I have any questions that will go any deeper than wild search of this, but mainly you're going to be using this underscore and percent symbol to find what you're looking for. Okay. All right. I want to take you back to this couple of concepts called aggregate. So let me just go back a few steps here. I'm going to start off with alias real quick. There's a concept called alias. Alias stands for a nickname. And sometimes there might be a situation where you want data to display, but you want to name the column yourself to display it in a beautiful way. For example, take a look at this situation here. Here's a customers table. And you want to display all of these customer names, but you don't want to call this column name as customer name. You just want to change it to, let's say, I don't know. You want to call it all customers. Okay. You can do that. Let's do this first. First, let's go ahead and display this table with only customer name. So instead of saying select star, we're going to say select customer name from customers. That's it. If you do the search, you got all of these customer names. But you don't want this column name to say customer name. You want it to say all customers. And you can change that on the fly. You actually, if you change that through this concept called alias, you are not actually changing the table itself that's stored inside the database. You are only changing this display of it, which is very temporary. This query is temporary, meaning I can just refresh this is gone. This select query does not affect this table at all. Only the insert, update, delete will affect the table. Just make sure you remember that. Now, the way to do that is you specify with this keyword called as right after the column. So if you name the column and then use the word as, at that point, you can give it any name you want, and that column name is going to display with that particular name. Instead of the actual column name, your given column name is going to get displayed. Now, two ways to do it. One is you write the word as, actually, let me just show you first. So let's go here. We want to change this customer name into all customers, to say all customers. So all I have to do is put this keyword called as and write down whatever the name I want, and I'll call it all customers. All customers. All right. Now, if I run the query, you will notice that this column name got changed to all customers. If you're like, I don't want to put it in one word, you want to put it in separate words, like all customers, just go ahead and put a bracket. I think it's square bracket. Let me check. So the computer knows it's supposed to be that way. Run. Yeah. Put a square bracket around it so it doesn't look at the space as something else and considers this whole thing as the new name that you're giving. And now this is displaying as all customers. You can actually change the table name that gets displayed, which I won't be able to demo you here because it doesn't really say what this table name is in this display. But if you wanted to do that, you could use this as right here and say, I don't want this table to be called customers when you display it to me. I want you to show me as this table name, let's say customer, special customer table or special people. Then you could put since it's a two word, you can bring this bracket here and say special people and run it. Still giving me 90, but again, I can't show you where it got changed because this editor does not give us that option to show the table name got changed, but the other one does. But again, this is another way you can change the name as it appears. Like, see, I wanted this table column to be called Stein. I can do that. All I have to do is type in Stein here and then hit run SQL, and this column got displayed as Stein. Any question about alias and how to change the table column name? All right. Sometimes you may need to do some mathematics on the table data. For example, you may need to find the minimum of something or maximum of something and average of something or add it all the column and give it to me. All of that can be done through SQL. And these are called aggregate functions. And let's start with this minimum and maximum. Notice this minimum word has this open close parenthesis. Maximum has this open close parenthesis. Anytime there is some sort of action or mathematics going on, it's going to have this open close parenthesis right next to it. You're going to see this in Java. I will kind of bleed you into it. So this is kind of like a little warm up for Java for you. Take a look at this syntax here. Over here, I got this select query, and I use this min and this open parenthesis, close parenthesis. Whichever the column name you put inside that is where it's going to calculate the minimum and display it for you. Okay, so we'll do an example to kind of clear this up. Maximum, same way. If you need a maximum, you put the word max, and then you put the column name inside the bracket, and it will calculate that for you. So let's take a look at this. Display smallest and largest price from products table. So we go to products here. Suppose you wanted to go to this products table. And in here, you have all these prices, random prices. Some are big, some are small, and you don't want to go through like 20,000 products and which one is the smallest one. You want to do a quick query to find it. You are in luck. You can do that. So here's how you do it. You start with the word select. Because you want it smallest, you type in the word minimum. You open and close parentheses, and inside you specify which column data that you want the smallest of. In this case, we wanted price, so I take the price, put it in here, and then finish up the rest. So here you can say from products table, and you can close it, hit the run, and it gives you the answer that there is only one record, the smallest price on that product table is $2.50. Any questions? Okay. If you wanted maximum, you just change that to max and run the query. And it tells you that $263.50 is the highest priced product in that table. At this point, if you needed to add more condition and you say where, yeah, you can add on to it as much as you want to. Totally okay. The couple of other ones that are on the next slide you're going to see is called average, AVG. So I'm just going to do that right now, and this will calculate the average price for you. And the average price of the product is $29, approximately $29, meaning it added all the numbers and divided by the number of the numbers that it added. You can also just do sum, meaning just add them up. SUM, sum, add them up. And after adding all those prices is 2,200, a little bit over. Okay. Any question? Okay. And that slide is for the average and the sum. Just quickly talked about that. Take a look at this count option. If I use this count, and use this column called product ID, it's going to product ID. It's going to count how many records there are that's for you, which is basically the same thing if you were to display um, how many records there are. So if I can just click on products, there's 76, but it gave it for you. However, if I wanted to specify, let's say I go to customers and look at this country and I'm like, how many people are in this country called Mexico? Then I can count, use the word count like this. I could say count and put the column name called customer ID. Doesn't really matter which column I add in here. I'm gonna count it as long as my condition is correct. So from customers table, and if I say where, see if I don't put where and hit the run SQL, it's gonna tell me 90 right there, 90. There's 90 customer IDs there. But if I specify, say, where country equals Mexico, now it's only going to count Mexico and tell me how many there are of the count of customer ID. So if I run the SQL, it tells me 5. Weirdest thing is, it's only counting how many records. Even though I have to specify the column name, it's only counting how many records. That means I can specify a different column name. Let's say city. It's not going to change. It's still going to give me 5. I can say country and say run SQL, still going to give me 5. It just works like that. I don't know if there's any functionality to this. You really don't have to use them. Any question? Okay, we're almost there. Just a couple more things and we are done. And that is called nested statement. All right. Nested statement meaning you got one statement inside another. Take a look at this syntax here. You got the select query from and where. And then inside this bracket, you got another select query. So you actually got 2 select queries. So you got a select query and another select query, and you kind of marry them together somehow. You're welcome to do it any way you want to. It works as long as you do it in that system that we taught you. Let's take a look at an example to see how it works. Now, I have to tell you that in real world, the queries that the developers use for, let's say, airlines, bookings, and things, it's very complicated. There could be a lot of nested queries like this. It takes them hours and hours to experiment to figure out which exact query is going to give me the specific data I needed for the customers. You don't need to panic about it when you see it, but just know that you might be working with some of those complicated queries. But again, you don't have to create it yourself. The developers are going to create it. They're going to do it. They're going to give it to you. They're going to say, hey, Raju, here's your query. Can you go ahead and run that and look at this data and see if it matches with the website over there? That's all there is to it for you. You don't need to mess around with the technicality. You just copy the query they give you, run it, and then see if it works. So really, I don't need you to go any farther than this. If you're able to develop a couple of queries, in a small scale, connecting together for homework purposes is fine. So look at this situation here. I got this question. Display all records of customers residing in the same country as suppliers. So display all records of customers. Here's a table number 1. Residing in the same country as suppliers, there's table number 2. Well, to answer this question, you have to look into first, which countries are these suppliers are located? Where are they located? Which countries? And whichever the list of countries I get for the suppliers, I need a list of customers that live in those countries. Okay? So always take your time and understand the question first, and then try to sit down, brainstorm, and write one piece at a time. So first thing I'm going to do is to answer this question. My first question is, let me write this down here, that I have to ask, what, or first you got to do is get a list of supplier countries. Let me do this. I'm going to do this in a notepad because we're really trying to marry all our knowledge together on this. So let me copy this question here and break it down for you slowly. This is the time for you to unmute yourself and ask me all of those questions that you have for me. Try to clarify here. I'll take it slow. So display all records of customers residing in the same country as the suppliers. Okay. Now let's take this and analyze this first. I'm going to put it back down here. Bring this up here. Here's suppliers. All right. And question I need to ask. Two things. One, first, get the list. Get the list of supplier countries. Once I got the list of the supplier countries, then I can get second, get the list of customers that live in those countries. Okay? Any question with this? Anything you feel like I'm missing or doesn't make sense? Here's suppliers table. If you look at the countries, you got this UK, USA, Japan, and all of this. You need this list of countries. So you need to set up a query that's going to give you the list of these countries. So I want you to go ahead and take a minute to give me the query that's going to give me a list of these countries. Go ahead and do that now. First person gives me the answer. I'll go ahead and paste it here. So this would be my first query. And I'm going to write it here. Really trying to put your brains together on this stuff now. This is advanced. Chisti, you're almost there. You're missing pieces. I need a complete query. It's going to give me the list of countries from suppliers table. Look at this list of countries from suppliers table. I wouldn't say select star. Select star will give me everything. I don't want everything. I just want a list of list of countries like this right here. So imagine your query is going to give me this. Let me draw it for you. How can I just get this column? This is my list. I need a query that's only going to give me that. Chisti wrote select country from suppliers. That is correct. Loretta wrote select country from suppliers. That is correct. So let's write that up and see if it works. So select country from suppliers. And close quote. Run. We got it. We got a list of all the countries. Okay. There's a problem with this though. I got this Germany like 3 times. I don't need Germany 3 times. I just need like unique. I want this USA to show up only once. Excuse me. I want this USA show up once. This Germany show up once. How do I modify this query right here so that it doesn't give me these duplicates? And go ahead and you can type that in. Distinct, correct, Chisti. Distinct, correct. So I need to type in distinct right here. Select distinct, D-I-S-T-I-N-C-T, distinct. And if I do a run query, I don't need this duplicate. There's 29 of them. Now running it gives me 16 countries. 16 different countries that I want my customers. I want to see which customers live in the same country that the suppliers live in. So this is my first step, is to get this query, and I got it. So I'm going to write it down here. Now understand, this is how the developers create this nested query. Big ones, they write it down, they take a small piece at a time, and then they take one brick and second brick and third brick, and then they put those bricks together. Okay, so we are going to be doing that. Now that we have this first thing down, we know that this gives me a list of all these countries. Let's go to our customers. If I were to find customers that live in a set of countries, let's say, hypothetically, I want to find customers that live in Mexico, UK, and Sweden, you have to figure out how to write that query first. How would we do that? Select, you guys tell me. Give me a query that will give me a list of customers that live in 3 countries: Mexico, UK, and Sweden. Give me a query for that. Mexico, UK, Sweden. Go ahead. Take your time. I think you just type that answer into the chat box. You don't even have to do it in Notepad or check to see if you're correct or not. Just type it in. Not ordered or order ID, no. Country. But Raju, give me the whole thing, like select. Start with the select. I want the whole query. Okay, I see Loretta. Select country from suppliers where customers in Mexico. Almost, I yeah, some of it is you're like 99% correct. So I'm going to type that in. I see Chisty, you submitted as well. So here's what I'm going to do. Understand that on the second list, all I want to see is I want to see all records. So where you missed this is select. You want to say star. Select star from customers and where not customers in Mexico. This is where you have to put the column name. Yes, country. You have to specify this country in Mexico. In as capital in. All you do is take this name of this countries and you put it in here in quotation. To say Mexico, comma, UK, comma, Sweden, like that. Okay. Jisti, you are absolutely correct. You did specify customer name as a column. Uh, Well, yeah, you can do that. But let's say if I wanted all the records, then you would do star right here, and that works. All right. Now, if I do a search right here, I get all these customers that are in Mexico, UK, and Sweden. Mexico, UK, and Sweden. All right. Here's the kicker. Here's the second part. The question is asking you, give me a list of customers, display all records. So that means the star button right here. all records. They're residing in the same country as suppliers. Well, I need a list, first of all, to get me the list of customers that suppliers live in. Understand, remember that first select query that we did? The first query, let me just copy this and show you side by side again. So here's the second query. Oopsie, right there. The first query gave me the list of customers that suppliers in. These are the countries. List of the countries suppliers in, 16 countries. The second list was a fake hard-coded. What I mean by hard-coded is I hard-coded these 3 countries, Mexico, UK, and Sweden. But what if I don't want a hard code? What if I want to know only the countries that suppliers live in? Well, I'm not going to type in the 16 name of the countries, UK, US, Japan, Spain, Australia. That's going to be too much. What if tomorrow I got another supplier that's in another country, not even part of this list? Well, then my query is bad. So how can I make it so that I don't have to type in the name? I make the query so formula-like that if tomorrow I got a supplier from Bangladesh, my query is going to show me that. And I don't have to change a thing in my query. It's going to work all the time. Well, in that case, you delete this part right here. You say, I don't want Mexico, UK, or Sweden because I don't know if that supplier is in Mexico, UK, or Sweden. You delete that part. But you still owe this query that data in here. You have to feed that query that data of which countries you want. But didn't we just saw that this particular query, excuse me, yeah, this particular query that we just did, when we ran this query, all of these country lists showed up. Well, then why can't we just put this whole query inside this parenthesis right here? You can do that because this query is nothing but the list of these countries. And that's exactly what we need in there is the list of the countries. Who wants to type in the 16 countries in there? Nobody. But you can type in this query in there that's going to pull those 16 countries and shove it in that little parenthesis for you. That's what we're going to do. We're going to copy this query. You don't need the semicolon anymore. Semicolon is only used once at the very end. So I copy and paste that other query right in here. Now, again, don't panic. This select distinct country from suppliers only gives you the list of all of those countries in quotation. All of those countries in quotation. All of those countries in quotation. And that's exactly what this query is going to do. It's going to look for those customers that are in those countries, but those countries are selected from the suppliers table. Now, if I run this, yeah, I got 68 customers of the same country that the suppliers are in. So that means there were a whole bunch of customers that were not living in any of the supplier countries that we had. And you can sort customers this way. This is called nested select statement. And you're probably going to see a lot of this when you go work for a QA firm. Any questions on the nested statement? Okay, let me post this as notes to you. And again, this information is also on the PowerPoint, so you're welcome to look at it. Had a practice in there, but not going to do it in the interest of time. The next thing, real quickly, I'm going to leave you with a couple more things. One is called group by and having. I don't think I have a whole lot of homework in that, or maybe just one question into it. So what it does is you can group stuff to display in a certain way. For example, let's take a look at an example. Display number of customers in each country. You wanted how many customers in each country, for example, in a table. What you can do is you select and you bring in this aggregate called count. And you can count anything you want to, like we talked about. We can just say customer ID. And you need to specify which columns you want to display. So if we wanted to display, let's say, country column, and specify which table, customers. Now you use the idea called group by, GRO. Let's take a look at it without group by first. So if I hit this right here, it's telling me that here's this country column that I specified, only giving me first one that it found. It really doesn't help anything. The count gives me there's customer ID, 90 customer IDs in there from this. Really doesn't do much. But what if I wanted to know how many customers in Mexico, how many in US, how many in so and so? Then if you put this keyword called group by, and let's say you wanted to group by this country, and I type in just the column name called country, and now hit the SQL, it's going to give you this country, Argentina, and it's going to say how many people are in Argentina. There's like 3. You're like, I want to see the country first, then I want to see the count. Yep, you can do that. Just bring in this country first. So cut that from here, bring it in the front. This sequence will follow that sequence. And then say count. And then take this comma off because you don't need this. I put the comma right here. And now if I hit the query, it gives me the name of the country first, Argentina. And it's counting how many customer ID there is. And it's telling me there's 3 of them in Argentina. There's 2 in Austria. There's 3 in Belgium and 9 in Brazil. This is how you can use group by idea to sort things and so forth. Here's another example. This one says, display list of customers in each country sorted high to low. So now we're not only going to list the customers in each country, but from high to low, which is like which is the most popular country first and then least popular countries last. So the way to do that, you can mix things up a bit. You say select and say I want to see the country column first. And then I want to tell me how many, but sort them in from greatest to the least. So you could say count. And inside the count, you can put in anything you want. We'll just say customer ID. So that's your column setup. You got two columns. You got a column that's going to display country, and it's going to say how many. Now you say from where? From customers table. And this is where you say how you want to group by. You want to group by the country. And you're also bringing in an order to this because you want to see the greatest first and then least, smallest or less amount later. So you say order by, you have to specify which column. And since you're counting this, you can take this count customer ID whole thing. That go ahead and count that and take the order of that, because that's what this gives you, this number 3, number 2, and so forth. Now it's going to look at that number 3, number 2, and then say, okay, I want to order it. How do you want to order that? Let's say we say greatest to the least, then you put in descending. You say that, now it's going to look at these numbers 3, 2, and say, okay, this is greater, so I'm going to display this first, and then the least ones we're going to display it later. So if I run it now, it shows you that United States has the greatest. There's 13 customers in the United States. France got 11, and that all got sorted. And that's how you can mix group by with order by as well. Okay. One last thing is called having. And having is a condition that's typically used with this aggregate, meaning like min, max, count, and so forth. If you wanted an extra condition, let's say you have a where statement, but you want another extra condition, then you can use this. And the syntax looks like this, where you have the select, the from, and then the where, and then you already use this group by, and now you wanted to have another condition. You can use this word called having and bring in another condition, and then whatever else you want to do. So notice this having is the same thing as this where, except it's like you want another condition, but you could not put it there, and you need to condition this in a separate statement. Then you can use this having word to have another one. Very rarely you will see this. I don't even think I have a homework for this, but let's take a look at how it looks like just to expose you to this. I got this question here that says display number of customers in each country to only include countries with more than 5 customers. So now you're adding a little more uh, condition to this. See this query here? This query gives me all of these countries, but it doesn't discriminate, saying, okay, I'm only gonna show you if there is this count is greater than 5. Suppose you wanted only the countries that has more than 5 people living in it. Well, that's another condition that you have to bring in to this particular query. And suppose you have a where already got used up, and you cannot use it in the where statement. Plus makes it a little more complicated because you're actually comparing this count. which is like an aggregate function. And you can do a basic query on a column with a where statement. In that case, you bring in this having condition, having a keyword, and you specify this column name. And then you say, I want greater than 5. And you run the query. And it's only going to display anything that's greater than 5 and not going to display anything less than 5. Okay. So that's another thing that you can use for your SQL queries. Any question about this one? All right, folks, it's been a long day. Let's kind of recap the homework here. This is the homework that you have. It's on Google Classroom also. Again, it has this link to go to W3 School and go in there, try to get your answer, type it in, make sure it works, and then copy paste it into your homework and then submit that in there. Any questions about these homeworks or how would I submit or any other questions before we end the class today?